The Ark has actually been around for quite a while. It started back in 1997. It was opened as part of the Victoria SPCA then, using a legacy that the Victoria SPCA had received. They bought 10 acres out here in Metchosin and set up Wild Ark. And then in 2004, Wild Ark became its own branch within the BC SPCA. Before Wild Ark was here, there really weren't a lot of options for wild animals. There were other places that they could go, but it was pretty limited. 80% of them, we can say, are directly impacted by humans as a species. Wild Ark is attempting to give something back to lessen the impact that we have. Education is very important as well. Wild Ark does have an education component to the facility to try and educate people on how they can lessen the impact on wildlife. The ideal situation would be that the animals don't need to come here in the first place. And of course we see a lot of mammals here at the Ark as well. Young deer come to us for two reasons. One is because the parent has been hit by a car and killed. And in those cases, it's really important those fawns have somewhere to go because they wouldn't be able to survive on their own. And we're able to play the role of parent and help nurse them back to health until they're big enough and strong enough to be released back into the wild. The other reason that deer come to us is the unfortunate reason of kidnapping, we refer to it as. Well-intentioned people come across a deer fawn and don't see a parent around and assume that it's orphaned. So they gather that animal up and bring it to us. And we try as often as we can when that occurs to take it back to the area and reintroduce it to the parent, because the reality is that fawns will actually spend several hours alone a day without the parent while the parent goes to forage so that they have enough energy to be able to nurse and care for them. So unfortunately people have best intentions and they bring an animal to us a little sooner than they need to. So our big goal is to educate people to always call first before they collect a fawn to bring into the center. At this point in the year, usually most of our fawns have already been released. In fact, we had 10 that we already released further up the island, and it was very exciting to see them go on their way. But we did have one little girl who came in very late into the season. She's only a few weeks old. She was probably the last baby of the year, and her mom was killed by a car. So the option of returning her to her parent really just wasn't there. So we have been caring for her, and she has a couple of friends who have been chosen to stay with her so that they can be released together once she's big enough and strong enough. So right now she's still quite small, but she's growing more and more every day. So we're hoping that we'll be able to release the three of them together very soon. The winter time and the fall is a little quieter here at the Ark, so we don't have a lot of birds in care. But what I would like to tell you about is one special bird that we have in care, a Cooper's hawk. And this Cooper's hawk was found on the road, not really moving, and a person was able to come right up close to it. So we knew that it needed to come into care. So it came into the center, and it had some evidence of head trauma. So, you know, the conclusion we drew was that it was probably hit by a car. And that happens quite often with raptors, that they do get hit by vehicles. And one of the main reasons that happens is because they're hunting near roadways. And unfortunately, often there is refuse or food near the roadways, which is how the cycle starts, is that someone, for example, is driving along and throws their apple core out the window thinking it's going to decompose and, you know, it's perfectly fine, it's good for the environment. And unfortunately it lands beside the road, and then small animals will come to feed on the apple core, and it'll bring the hunters, the raptors, to come in after them. And unfortunately they're swooping low to the ground near the roadway in perfect position to be hit by a car. So we often see raptors for that reason. And this Cooper's hawk is doing quite well in spite of those injuries and is looking like he's going to be ready to be released within a few days. So we're really thrilled. He started out inside our facility needing a lot of care from our rehabbers and has reached the point now where he's in our flight pen. So he's in a much larger space and he's able to fly and perch, and we're watching his movements in the flight pen to make sure he's able to fly well. And he is, so we're going to be able to release him very soon. A lot of people are very surprised to learn that we don't receive any direct government funding here at the ARC, that we rely pretty much on our fundraising efforts to be able to keep our day-to-day activities going. So a lot of our fundraising is really our lifeblood to being able to do our work. So it's really important that the general public is supportive of what we're doing. There are so many things people can do to help. If people go to our website, there is a long list of ways that people can become involved. Make a donation, supplies, sponsor an animal. And people can choose the type of animal they want to sponsor. There are denominations from $25 up to $200. That person receives a certificate of their animal that they've sponsored. It's eco-friendly, it's a fantastic gift. Also, volunteering is something to consider because we are always looking for people who can help us take care of the animals. I've always wanted to work with my animals my entire life. I started out working in the veterinary field and was there for about 11 years before I came to Wild Ark. And Wild Ark is certainly a dream job. Such a great service to the community, to the environment, and to the animals. The animals are amazing, getting to see some of the incredible creatures that come into Wild Ark for care. Everything from a northern pygmy owl to the great horned owl, all the different mammals that we get to see, river otters. It's amazing to get to be around those animals and to be able to do something to help the organization.